What are we going to talk about today? Do you know? Have you got any idea what we're going to talk about today?
I've got some idea.
Okay.
I don't do a lot of prep, James, but I do at least read
like
the headlines of what it is we're going to be talking about today.
And not only that, this is a bit of a test bed, isn't it? We'll call it a trial, call it a guinea pig, call it what you will.
Yeah, we're giving video a go.
Oh, yeah. Video killed the radio star, and here we are. No?
Well, yeah. I mean...
Well, you have been hammering me, telling me this YouTube lark will catch on.
Oh, my God.
Did you like that? That was literally... and at that point, I was about to point the mouse at the screen and see if I could change channel.
Change channel, yeah. The mouse.
Yeah, that's the whole... Yeah, oh, come on. The gag doesn't work if you're actually querying why... Because obviously I'm so technologically incompetent.
Oh, yeah, but see, I would have thought that because of your technological incompetence, you would have thought that the remote would also work on YouTube because you watch the TV, so you'd be the TV remote, you know? Like, why is it working?
Or maybe I've got 3 mice in my hands, not actual mice, obviously at this point, just different types of mouse, and a remote, maybe 2 remotes, maybe the big telly one and the skybox or something.
And the one
I'm literally just pressing everything, like a sort of remote sandwich.
Press all the buttons and something will
see what happens, and then just suddenly, just nothing, black screen.
Yeah.
Exciting times. Well, here we are. It's Barndoors and Banjos with our brand of wacky intros, cold opens, and general around entertainment. We're here.
And one of these days, you are going to feel completely comfortable and at ease with the cold open, aren't you?
No, I don't think I am. It's new territory for us. Do you know what I think we need to do with the cold open?
Warm it up.
Practice. I think we should go to cold open school. Because what's the first? Actually, should we tell you what we should do? Go to a cold open club. What's the first rule of cold open?
Don't talk about it.
There is no cold open. Come on, get on the Fight Club, ragamuffin.
No, the rule for Fight Club is nobody talks about Fight Club.
Well, the first rule of Fight Club is there is no Fight Club.
That's not the first rule of Fight Club. You've got to rewatch that movie, Jimbo.
Whoa! First rule of Fight Club. There is no Fight Club, surely.
The first rule of Fight Club is no. I thought the first rule of Fight Club was nobody talks about Fight Club.
Is that our first competition?
First rule of Fight Club, there is no Fight Club.
There is no Fight Club.
You know what it is, right? I'm going to have to find out now.
You're a little bit annoyed, aren't you, about that? Well, I'll tell you what, we should keep our... as obviously, our millions of listeners and watchers, viewers, tubers...
No. The first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
I'm going to go back and rewatch it.
You don't have to. I've just told you what it is right there.
Well, what's your source? What's your source?
My source is Goodreads, also Fight Club fandom, Urban Dictionary. And there's a video if you really want me to watch it as well.
Let's not watch it now. Because that would incur massive copyright costs, I think.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't watch it on... We're not going to put it on the screen for everybody else. You know,
no.
They can all go.
Welcome to our first foray into video. We're going to play you a video. It's a novel. It's a novel way of going forward. We've got something a bit random to talk about today. I mean, you could argue we always have something.
I'll tell you what we need to talk about. We need to talk about movie trivia and how many other famous lines from movies you're going to get slightly wrong as well.
It'll be disappointing that we've started on an argument. Yeah. The first time we go visual, we're going on an argument. It's harsh.
You know, you were hammering me for getting the first rule of Fight Club wrong.
But the what? The Fight Club.
The first rule of Fight Club.
All right. Okay. All right. Should we talk about football?
I want to talk about Fight Club now.
Well, there is no Fight Club.
Yeah. No, we can talk about football now.
Oh. Do you know what we're doing today? We're doing something a little bit... It's kind of a crazy one-off. And what we're going to talk about is it's got a bit of a samba feel, hasn't it? At this point, we need some samba music, like a proper DJ, just sort of...
Budget and time doesn't stretch that far.
No, it doesn't.
I feel like on numerous occasions in the past we have suggested this.
Up that. Yeah, we've never done it.
Gets to editing day and I'm just, I'm not.
So, that distinctive samba feel, we're talking about the best Inhos of recent memory. What does that mean? What is an Inho? Well, it's obviously... Do you know what it actually means? Actually?
I was going to say, it must mean something, right?
Yeah.
Is it son of?
It's a no, which is actually a good guess. I would say it's a term of endearment, and it means little as a term of endearment, apparently.
Yeah.
So Inhos, I presume we've is that a good enough explanation? Do you think we need any more?
It's players with Inho on the end of their name.
That is why you're a wordsmith, sir. That's why you're a word. In one sentence, you've cut to the chase. It's taken me 25 minutes to
25 minutes of
not even explain it correctly.
And the best ones as well. We're not just picking anyone with Inho, and then we'd be here all day. I'm assuming there are thousands of Inho names, but we're just thinking of the ones that we consider to be the best of the Inhos.
I think that's a good shout, and it feels like it's the Inho has really grown in prominence. I think over the last 25 years in that era, because I can't think of lots of Brazilian players with Inho prior to mid 1990s.
All right, so it's a relatively modern.
I don't know. I can't think it can be, but I don't know. I just couldn't think of many. I'm sure there are, and I'm sure our listeners. Rivellino, but that's not. It's not an Inho. It's Rivellino, if that makes sense. That was the only one that kind of came to mind.
Oh, I didn't know that. So that's so it must have been. Oh, I wonder if there was a particular footballer that made it popular for all the other footballers. I wonder if we can figure that one out from maybe some of the ones in our list here.
That's question 2, obviously, on this week's quiz after the aforementioned movie quiz, which is still ongoing, I think, despite your attempts to close it off.
I think we're going to have a special one-off episode where I name...
Do you think so?
I name movies, and you have to give me various famous quotes from them, and we just see how accurate you get them.
Or maybe I mix them all up a little bit, but still maintain I'm correct.
Or that, yeah. And it just gets like really heated.
Yeah, even though... Evidently, all the 10 that I do are in fact incorrect. Yeah.
Let's do it.
It's a winner. It's a surefire.
Sack the episode off. Let's just do that now.
Let's just do that now, yeah. I sense there's a bit of enthusiasm there. I think you can win, which is why you're very enthusiastic about it.
Oh, yeah. If your Fight Club knowledge is anything to go by, I've got it in the bag.
Really, I'm going to go and have a look at that afterwards. Anyway, what better Inho and these players I think do bring a lot of joy. I think the ones we've tried to pick bring most of them. I think that we've sort of dragged from the Inho net.
Yeah.
And I think this first guy, joy with bells on.
Yes, possibly. Of everyone on the list, this would be probably my favourite of the Inhos.
I think so. From a footballing perspective, I think just sheer joy all over the pitch. And actually, in a weird sort of way, I wonder if, from a football point of view, he gets all the credit that he deserves. I don't know. He had a very long career, but it doesn't feel like he got the credit he deserved. I don't know. Am I being hard? What do you think?
No, possibly not. He doesn't seem to be talked about quite as often as some other big names of the last 20 or 30 years, but for a period he was the best player in the world and probably one of the most entertaining players to watch, and one of those players where kids in the playground are trying to recreate the skills that he would come out with during the game, so unless it's just us, maybe that's the perception and not the reality. Maybe he does get talked about a lot more and we just don't hear it, but I don't think... World Cup winner. I mean, he's just one of the best players of that I've seen since I've been watching football, so he's right up there, and he'd absolutely be one of your number one picks on any sort of five-a-side or street football team, wouldn't he? I mean, he would dominate in that format.
Has everyone guessed it? I'm saying that as if I'm going to get feedback here, obviously.
Yeah, just hang on.
That's not going to happen.
Yes, you're right. I'll record two of them. Well done, you got it right. And then also, no, that wasn't the answer we were looking for.
Oh, very good. And we can mix and match. Yeah. But it's Ronaldinho. That's who we're talking about.
Or Little Ronald, as he would be known.
Little Ron and Big
Ron.
Little Ron. Wonderful football. I'd say one of the things, if you ever have a spare 3 or 4 minutes, which, let's face it, we're busy people, we live busy lives, but have a look at when he took delivery of his new Nike boots. I think they were white with Nike. Okay. Sorry, mate. Sorry.
We're live on YouTube now.
And I've shambled it, haven't I? I obviously don't want to get done for passing off. The white boots, I think, with a golden swoosh, and he does this thing where the ball for about 3 minutes doesn't touch the ground which, if I say that to you, you think, well, anyone can juggle it for 3 or 4 minutes. Yeah, absolutely. Not only does he juggle it up on the edge of the box at the new camp while he's doing this, he's volleying the ball, edge of the box, onto the crossbar, ball's coming back, bomb, juggle for a bit more, boom, crossbar, back, ball doesn't touch the deck. It is unbelievable.
Really? And that's not doctored footage or anything, that's him actually doing it?
I don't know. If it is, guilty as charged, obviously. I've been taken. Whether it is or but it looks fairly genuine, but it is possibly, I'm going to go on a limb here. Much as I have massive adoration for the world famous Diego Maradona warm up against Eintracht Frankfurt, which again is a sheer thing of beauty.
Got to watch it.
Beauty.
Yeah.
Watching him just volley the ball against the bar and come back without touching is sublime.
Fair enough. I'll go check that out, and hopefully it's not.
I guess the other couple
CGI
of moments.
Nonsense.
Well, I hope not. The other couple of moments, 3 moments. I think he had this thing, especially with his right foot, where he could almost seemingly, his leg was like double jointed, where he kind of flexed it in, flexed it out. He didn't actually move, but kind of just flexed it in, flexed it out, and then managed to go past someone, which again, almost as if you were double knee jointed.
That was the one that everyone used to try and recreate. I remember people
and then
would
end up with an ACL or something.
Shattering their ankles trying to do that on concrete with it.
As your knee goes one way and your ankles go in the other.
You get stuck in the concrete and fall. And that was a huge. It sounds so dumb, but that was a big trick at the time. So pretty sure he was the one that started it, right?
It was a big thing. Yeah.
And everyone was trying to recreate that to varying degrees of success.
I think the other part I was going to say, the other two things I really remember him for, apart from joy, he brought a lot of joy. He's always, in fairness, he seemed to, for a guy that was at the top level, he didn't seem to, he realised it was a game. He didn't take it too seriously.
Yeah, because we've spoken on a past podcast about, I hate when people don't celebrate scoring goals. I think it just, you're playing football, it's a game millions around the world would kill to play. You're getting paid a fortune. You're at the top of the game, and every time you score a goal should be a moment of absolute joy. And they just ruin it by just turning around and shrugging or just I hate it. If you score a goal, I love to see and I don't even care how over the top that celebration goes. If you've scored a goal at the highest level,
go mad.
Yeah, do it.
Go mental.
Celebrate like you're never going to score again.
I like it, James. I've never really seen you so animated. The other couple of things I think for me was the goal again. I don't know if you remember this. It was a really good game. I think they played Chelsea and it must have been the.
Oh yeah.
And that just the cheeky sees a gap, hasn't got much of a backlift opportunity.
Yeah.
Little toe poke, almost like bringing street football to the biggest of occasions. Just saw the gap, little toe poke, very deliberate.
Oh yeah.
But just funny, isn't it? How you look at something that you might have done when you were 10, and you look at someone replicating that in a massive Champions League knockout game, and it just being it was genius. It was superb.
It was. I think as well though that was what maybe made him so entertaining, and what he played the game like he was still 14 years old in the playground, and his mind worked that way when he was playing, where he would that there, as you say, is something that you might attempt to do because you don't know any better because you're younger, but he still has that mindset of thinking, well, actually the gap's opened up, and his brain thinks straight away, just go for it. There's a gap, just put it in there.
Yeah.
And he's obviously got the technique and ability to be able to do it as well. But it's a good goal. It's one of those goals actually when you watch it the first time around, when you see it, it doesn't look like much, but when you actually consider he's almost barely moved his foot back to hit the ball. He's hit it hard enough to get it past the keeper. There's a small gap to have knocked it through. Yeah, it's an impressive goal. Maybe not like something that's going to grab the headlines immediately, but the more you watch it, the more you appreciate it, I think.
It grabbed me, sir.
I'll tell you what as well, I'm never usually a fan of players who score winning goals against England to knock us out of World Cups.
That was the final one I was going to mention, actually, yeah.
But I couldn't even, I mean, it was a fluke. We've already discussed this. It was a fluke. He did not mean it. But I don't dislike him as much as I dislike other players who've knocked England out of tournaments.
Well, I was going to say, in fairness, it would be a very long list, I guess, in that regard. I can't remember. You're probably right. We have discussed it before. I'm not sure. Did we disagree on that?
You think he meant that? 40-odd yards out, free kick against one of the best defences and best goalkeepers in the world, and he tries to do that and he means to do it. I don't think so. I don't think anybody looks to do that from that distance.
Wouldn't be the first big game where Big Dave got a bit caught off his line, would it?
Big Dave.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't. But even then, you would not collect the ball, put it down on the ground, 40-odd yards out from the goal, and go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to lob the keeper.
I would probably agree with you 99 times out of 100, but because it's him, there's to me, there's a little bit of, I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It went in.
It doesn't.
But
I don't think he meant it.
I actually hope he did. Again, for me, that would soften. I mean, obviously, we've moved on. It was 20 years ago, but
I haven't moved on.
Soften. Have you know? He's still go. We wouldn't have won it, mate. We'd run out of gas at half time every game.
No, we would have won that tournament after that game.
I don't think so.
There was no one left.
We had to be 2-0 up every time, otherwise we'd have been.
There was nobody else left. We played all the decent teams. If we'd knocked Brazil out, which by the way probably could have been the final that year,
we'd have lost to Turkey in the semi. That's the sort of thing we would do, wouldn't it? The whole country's gone into sort of national euphoria. Probably a bank holiday for beating Brazil, and then we'll go and lose 2-1 to Turkey.
Yeah. That was an era of it was a very long era of underwhelming performances in World Cups.
In fairness, I thought that performance was all right because we came out of the group of death.
We did actually, yeah, we did okay that tournament.
And actually, if you're going to go out to a team, a bit like France,
they did have a player sent off though, didn't they? We lost to a 10-man side.
We did,
and we were 1-0 up.
We were. I think again though that showed how good they were because they. I mean, you look at that front line: Rivaldo, Ronaldinho,
fluky goal. I'm getting upset about it now.
Okay, I didn't mean to drag you down. Think about Fight Club; that would cheer you up.
I'll think about the correct version of Fight Club.
You can have whatever version you want. If
well,
it makes
apparently that's how you operate.
You should see me. I'm always recreating massive movie things at home. You know, that's what I do. Yeah.
But getting them just like ever so slightly wrong.
Yeah, but no, obviously no one joins in, so it's just like a game for self, really. Present to self. So I mean, I think he's our favourite, isn't he? Little Ron is Terry Toppermost of this list, isn't he?
Little Ron. Sounds like a East End gangster, doesn't
it? It does. I think because I really affected the Little Ron.
Ron.
I hadn't spoken like that throughout the entire episode until such point where I used the term Little and Ron in the same sentence.
I might just refer to Ronaldinho from now on as Little Ron.
Little Ron. Yeah. Little Ron. Well, I'll tell you, the next guy we've got on the list, he was diminutive, but I think for the people of Teesside, a masterful genius.
For anyone watching the Premier League in that era, a masterful genius. He was a fun player to watch, wasn't he?
He was. And we're talking, of course, of Juninho. 2 spells at... 3 spells, actually, might have had at Middlesbrough, actually, I think. And really just a huge signing, I think, at the time. It was the point where, obviously, Middlesbrough were... Thanks, really, you would say, to the name of Brian Robson and the lure of coming to play for Brian Robson.
Yeah, they bought some big players back then, didn't
they? They did. I mean, you know, your Ravanellis, your Nick Barmby was a big signing at the time. I mean, I saw a little smirk there, but he was a big signing at the time.
I know, but just when you go from Juninho and Ravanelli to Nick Barmby, I was like, not
Emerson,
quite the same.
Emerson, he was. Yeah. I mean, but it was Juninho. I think that.
Yeah.
I think not just won the hearts and minds. I think, didn't he? Because unlike Ravanelli, who shall we say had I think it'd be fair to say, questionable approach to team dynamics and team ethics and sort of, side before self. I think Juninho was someone that really bought into the team, the city, the league, and and even outside, I think of Middlesbrough fans, like as you said, even you don't want him to score against your club, but actually he was great to watch.
He was, yeah. That was an entertaining Middlesbrough side, and he was a particularly entertaining player in that side. So great to watch. Didn't stop him getting relegated though, did it?
No, but I think you're opening up a controversial can of worms there. Was that the famous one where they didn't turn up? Was it Boxing Day, New Year's Day, something like that?
Was it Blackburn? Blackburn. It was,
Blackburn away, because a few of them had the flu or something, and they got those points basically were the difference between them staying. And they got to two. If you remember as well, they got to the FA Cup and League Cup final that year, lost both, and went down. Which, in terms of a sort of bizarre hat trick to have. I mean, and this is for a club
that would be a gut-wrenching season, that wouldn't it? You sort of, on the one hand, you're like, we've played some good football. We're so close to winning 2 trophies and staying in the Premier League, but none of it happens and you get relegated. Like that would be it.
Well, I was trying to think, and off the top of my head, Brighton in '83 got to the cup final and got relegated. Wigan. Did they win the cup and get relegated?
Which I've already said before, I would take that.
And I think most Wigan fans would probably go, even though 100%. Obviously since then they've never gone back. They wouldn't trade that day.
No,
for what's happened next.
That day would stay in your memory, and you'd enjoy it far more than finishing 15th for another 3 seasons in the Premier League or whatever it is. So.
D'accord with bells on, I think D'accord. Yeah. But no, and he was a super player. I mean, I think as well, if my memory serves, because I've got a feeling he might have won an Olympic gold as well. Because I think the Brazilian structure very much allows you to do that, where you go and play in the Olympics as well. He was part of the World Cup squad, I think, in 2002 as well. I mean, he was just a terrific player, and I think his actual. I mean, he went to Atletico Madrid, but I think his peak period, if I'm honest, certainly seemed to be Middlesbrough, which, and again, especially at that point, South American players, with the exception of really Osvaldo Ardiles and to a lesser extent Ricardo Villa for Tottenham in the late 70s and 80s, South American players in the English game hadn't really taken to English or British football. I think he was, apart from Ardiles, and again, ironically, although they played in different positions, very similar build in terms of, small ball playing and so on and so forth. And in the cut and thrust of the top flight of English football, showed that, if your first 5 yards are in your head, and in your feet, it doesn't matter how big if someone's coming toward you, type of thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was a marginally not as well. No, I would say marginally. Ronaldinho was far better than him, but he was still up there. He was still a very, very entertaining. I mean, can you be called Inho and not be an entertaining footballer? I don't think it's possible. Although, hang on, have we got a couple on the list that maybe do?
In fact, I was going to say, and do we say to them, why are you maybe
you're not allowed to be an Inho.
You can't be a holding midfield player and be an Inho, possibly.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about now.
Is that? Although our next guy, we are coming back a little bit further in the midfield. But in fairness, I think this guy was quite an artist as well. Midfield player. Could play a lovely ball, and I think was pretty much. I suffice to say, his calling card, if he had one, was mastery of the free kick, the dead ball, and that's Juninho Pernambucano, who played obviously in France for a lot of it. But I think if you think back to the Champions League in that period, where he played for Lyon. Kind of early 2000s, any time you did a roundup of Champions League football, it would be, Lyon won 2-1 against whoever, and Juninho with a free kick, just cheek. To the point where...
Has he got like the best record ever or something like that?
I don't know how they work this sort of stuff out, because obviously you would think Beckham would have a pretty good dead ball record. I don't know if it's kind of shots to... what's the word? Shots to shots to misses sort of thing, but he was also saying that I think they called it a knuckleball, and which was basically for long range free kicks where the ball has kind of no spinning motion, so it kind of moves or wobble in the air, And the interesting bit on that, I think when people think of that, they probably think of sort of Portuguese Ronaldo. But I always think with him, a little bit, I don't know if this is controversial or not, a little bit like Roberto Carlos. They got an unwarranted brilliant reputation for free kicks when they scored one in about 400.
100%. Ronaldo's free kick reputation comes from that stance that he does.
Yeah.
When he takes a step back and it's a
the one that you do before you get in the shower.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've changed it now to the spin, obviously.
Oh, right, okay. A bit dangerous in the shower.
Well, yeah, but I mean, no risk, no reward.
Yeah, no, true.
But
you must be a joy to live with.
Everyone knows when I'm getting a shower.
Oh, yeah. With your reinforced panelling underneath the the tray.
I know.
Ever practical.
Well, got to if you're going to do the sue in the shower.
Yeah. Not sure I'm liking that image, and I don't think I can get rid of
it. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, Ronaldo's free kick ability. Yeah, so it was a photograph moment, wasn't it? The him standing back with his legs apart, staring up, and like you do get this thing where you think, oh, he must have been, the number of times he takes free kicks for club and country, and his record is pretty bad. It's the number of free kicks he's taken to the number of goals he scored from free kicks is probably below. I would say below average for the person whose job it is in that team to take free kicks. Yeah, he's never warranted the hype. I remember for years, whenever Man United.
I've opened a can of worms. Yeah. You've really, I thought I was like, it was a reasonable opinion, but you've properly gone for it.
I've brought this up before with people, and it's like for a long time, maybe not in the Man United years actually, but the years since, whenever Portugal or Real Madrid or maybe even Juventus got a free kick, the commentators would get all excited. Up steps Ronaldo, here we're going. Like, why are you getting excited? His record from these things is not great. If it was James Ward-Prowse stepping up, on the other hand.
Well, which is, in fairness, I know he's one of your lot, but he's got a much, I genuinely think, having, for example, a few weeks back when Newcastle played that semi-final against Southampton, being in the ground that night, when I think it was the point where they just had Bruno sent off and Ward-Prowse had that free, It was fascinating that suddenly it was almost like special teams in American football where Ward-Prowse comes up, it's 25 yards out, and the relief when it obviously knocked Isak out, nothing against Isak, but was palpable, which when you think about it, the percentage chances of scoring a dead ball from a free kick aren't particularly high.
Even with the player
even
who
with,
can do it. Yeah.
So that it's not like it's a penalty, it's not a gimme.
I'm pretty sure as well, though. Actually, if you there was an angle in the post-match highlights, which shows that I'm not sure that would have been too far off if it hadn't hit Isak. It looked like it was going.
Did you get your own? Did you get your own Hawkeye using string to kind of just map out where it was going to go?
Yeah,
Hawk string.
Just a really crappy animation of me just...
Hawk string. String eye. String eye sounds better than hawk string.
String eye sounds like a horrible disease, doesn't it? He's come down with a case of string eye.
Yeah. Oh, mate. I hope you got some cream for that. Takes weeks to get rid of the rash, apparently.
But yeah, anyway, aside from... We've gone way off about here. But anyway, Ronaldo's free kick goal scoring record is poor.
Well, to put it into context, he got around about, if this data is correct for Leon, well, weirdly, there's two conflicting numbers here, but we'll go with, he got between 75 and 100 goals. I'm not quite sure how. You can't get that right. But basically, 40 to 50% of them are free kicks, which is an astonishing...
That's pretty good.
From a midfield player, it's a lot of goals anyway, isn't it? But,
I want to know how many free kicks it took for him to get that number, though. But people are getting pretty excited about... Beckham's record of what is it, 17 in the Premier League is under threat now, or 18, whatever it is. You're telling me that guy scored either between 36 to 50 free kick goals.
Impressive, isn't it? Impressive.
Do you remember actually when you talk about knuckleball? Because I know what you mean. That's that one that wobbles as it goes through the air. And
it's kind of. I think the phrase might have started at baseball, and then it's also in cricket as well. You get the sort of this knuckleball thing now.
But the idea is you hit it hard and flat, and then it sort of like moves through the air in a weird way, doesn't it? It goes sort of left, right, and there's no spin on the ball, so keeper kind of go like, oh, it's going to go that way or that way.
It's weird, isn't it? It's almost like the old 10 bob swervers. Those plastic balls that you, or in northern terms, the penny floater.
Penny floaters,
there we go.
10 bob swerver.
10 bob swerver.
Penny floater?
No, 10 bob swerver, mate.
No.
10 bob swerver. Where it was like you had a magic foot. You'd kick the ball and it would go in 16 different directions.
Yeah, but still end up in the area that you wanted it to go in. Well, or just take a scenic route on the way there.
Yeah, yes.
But do you remember? Which one is it? It might be in the 2010 World Cup. I might be getting this wrong, but the Jabulani ball.
Yes, was that? Yeah, was that awful sort of? Was it silver as well? It looked like a medicine ball.
But it got a load of. It was like. Was it getting a load of stick at the time from players, especially goalkeepers, because of how unpredictable it was? It sort of its movement through the air and stuff. So yeah. But
he was a meister. He was a meister of the world of free kicks. I think he's now he's director. Well, he was director
of free kicks
director of free kicks at Lyon, and who better? So this next guy, another Inho, obviously. I presume everyone's staying on track here with this.
Shocker.
Now this guy actually, in one of our earlier episodes of Fleeting Glory, this guy could be a little bit fleeting, I think. So it's Philippe Coutinho, who shone supremely for Liverpool over sort of 4 or 5 years, and then both before. In fairness, great scouting because he hadn't played that much. He was at Inter, I think, and a couple of other clubs. But Vasco, I think he started at, but didn't play that much. Obviously, Liverpool picked him up. He was superb for Liverpool. In fairness, he helped Liverpool win the league because the 100 and whatever million that they got him for, or they sold him to Barcelona for, enabled them to get the goalkeeper and the centre half, which pretty much that was the
pushed them over the edge, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly to win the league, win the European Cup, and all that.
Because they'd been close a few years beforehand. Yeah, but that was every year everyone.
You're not going to win a lot with Loris Karius in goal, are you, or Simon Mignolet?
No, and everyone and people were saying that like that's the weak spot in the team, and then the back four is the weak. Like Liverpool were always had that potential 1-0 slip up at home to. Well, actually, I remember at home to Southampton one year they lost 1-0. It's like. Because they had that in them, but then when they sorted out with world class goalkeeper, arguably the best goalkeeper in the world, plus arguably the best centre half in the world, then you end up with getting a lot closer. But Coutinho, I'm a little bit bitter about Coutinho because Southampton were just about to sign him. There's a bit.
Is that right? Oh, there we go. Well, before Liverpool.
Just before Liverpool, it was about £8 million, I think it was going to be, and it was all. And then all of a sudden, Liverpool did I guess what Chelsea have been doing this transfer window, they were, he looks all right. That club's about to sign. We'll go sign him instead, and it turned out to be. And actually, Coutinho scored a fair few screamers against Southampton. He was always every time he turned up, he smashed one in from about 25 yards, just to really rub salt in the wound.
Interesting, and you are correct. I'm just looking at a little bit here, and it tells you how long ago it was. It was Maurizio Pochettino's Southampton. Yeah. I know you might get a bit misty eyed at this point, but 8.5 mil. From Inter,
$500,000 off. Yeah, that would have been a bargain. That one, well, it was a bargain.
I was going to say 8.5 million. They bought him for, and they sold him for an initial 105, rising to 142 with various clauses being met. I don't know if those clauses have been met, but either way,
Jesus,
that's quite an upgrade and quite a return on investment.
I'm not even sure the most positive of Barcelona fans could ever say that one worked out.
No. But
that was a lot of money spent on a player.
But again, quite strange, isn't it, for a guy that you would have thought, temperament-wise, playing-wise, would have really suited that league. It's funny how these things don't just. Sometimes we talked about it in Fleeting Glory. Sometimes you have a period in life where, or in a career,
it all just goes well.
Yeah, and then either side of that, for whatever reason, sometimes beyond your control. Maybe Barcelona weren't set up to play to his strength. Who knows? Family didn't set. Whatever it might be.
He missed the rain.
Do you think so? That might be it.
Do you not think? I don't know if I'm just being. My assumptions here are just completely
off
the mark. Yeah, or that. Yeah, but I always think if a player can do it in the Premier League, if they go to any other league in Europe, I would think that they would be able to match their stats from the Premier League at minimum or improve them. And I'm not just being arrogant. I'm just thinking you often the leagues become a little bit less physical when you go to Europe.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
They become a lot more technical, but it's mostly the technical players that are moving from the Premier League to Europe. So like Coutinho was not short of technical ability.
Yeah.
So that shouldn't have made any impact. You often get a little bit more time on the ball because of the way the game's played. So an opportunity to show your skills, and it's whenever players get these sort of skilled
and
players
it's not we can dress it up any way we want, but realistically, it is not as competitive. If you ever watch Barcelona or Madrid play one of the lower teams in La Liga over the course of say the last 20 years, you can see sometimes. I think unlike in this country where you will get a team who's bottom or a team who's in the bottom half, they'll have a go. They won't just sit there. Almost the home fans especially would demand that you have a go, and you might not win, but you're going to try and do something to rattle the cage, to try and get under their skin, whatever it might be. I sense that doesn't happen as much. I can't talk about the Bundesliga because I probably haven't seen it. That's maybe nearer, I suppose, to the tempo and style of football that's probably played here. Maybe. But also the other point, there's I think with the way the Premier League is, I think there's that inbuilt bit, but also there are realistically still, and I know it changes it, there's realistically 6, maybe 7 now teams that could win the title, whereas in most of the other European leagues, it's 1 or 2, realistically at a push.
Yeah. So it always seems odd to me when a highly gifted, skillful, technical player who's performed very well in the Premier League moves to Europe, another league in Europe, and then doesn't perform. I'm not so surprised when it happens the other way around. If someone's been lighting it up in Spain and comes over and just doesn't manage it because I don't know, the changing climate, the culture, everything is a bit of a shock. I get that, but Coutinho being, probably I would have considered him to be more at home at Barcelona than he was in Liverpool.
For sure.
But it just didn't work out. So it's always a bizarre one when that happens.
But I think we felt, we felt it was worth a mention because he did, but 2 things, I suppose. He was excellent while he was here, and he helped Liverpool win the league. So
in a roundabout way, and he I bet his any YouTube video with his like top 10 goals for Liverpool would be pretty good. He scored some crackers, didn't he?
He certainly did, sir. He certainly did. Our next player kind of goes against our rule, but what's the second rule of Inhos?
I don't even want to take a stab at this because I've got no idea.
There is no Inhos. I'm just going to say the same thing again.
Right.
So Fernandinho. Now, to me, this guy, over a 5-10 year period, he would have been, for all of the superstars that Manchester City have had in that time, I reckon he'd be the first name on your team sheet. I think from all the managers that were there. But I reckon if you played with him, I reckon he was someone that you were like, if he was out injured, you'd be like, oh, God, it'd be a bit harder today. We really need him. I thought he was the glue that held a couple of those City teams together, to be honest. I thought he was that. And I thought he was massively, people sort of said, oh, he's great at anticipating and breaking stuff up and all that, which he was. And that's obviously his predominant. But actually, his ability on the ball to then start stuff and he was a superb footballer. I think one of the best players to have graced the Premier League in the last 10 years.
Certainly one of the most effective based on his position.
Damn cool.
I don't know if best player,
all right.
but I don't know if that's because my idea of what the best players would be is slightly different. But I agree with you in terms of one of the most effective players, certainly one of the most valuable players to have been in any team for the last 10 years. But by the nature of his position, probably won't be remembered as long as other players who've played for Manchester City over the last 10 years.
But without him, everything else wouldn't. He was the cog around which everything happened.
I think there's a handful of players who've played in that position who would probably suffer from the same kind of, you never hear about them because they just go about their jobs so well every week. As you say, automatic on the team sheet. I imagine it was just a case of, print out the team sheets every year with his name already printed out on it. That's not going to change, and I'll write down the team around it, because when you have someone in that position, which is a very crucial position in the modern game, who does the job that well, protects the back four, breaks up play, starts the play as well. You don't want to go without a player like that in the team.
No. And I think, if you remember, there was a period where he ended up playing centre-half for City because I think they didn't have enough centre-halves, basically,
right.
Whether it was injury or they were in between buying centre-halves. And he was really good there. But what then was happening was that City were getting countered on, I think, and quite a lot, so that the defence was put under. And a lot of the times I thought, well, people aren't making the parallel. It's not that he's a bad centre-half or whoever's playing. It's because he's not playing where he normally does that City are suddenly being exposed more because he mops up and anticipates so much of the stuff that happens in front of the back four.
Yeah, you just essentially at that point fully realising just how important his work is in front of the back four that it's a smaller percentage of attacks that actually get through when he's playing in front of that back four.
Yeah. I'm going to go modern Premier League great. You're not having it, are you?
No, I am.
You just want your fancy Dans.
That always seems to swing it. And I'm not saying that's right, but
you swinging with the fancy Dans.
But like,
I love an artist, but I think this guy was more than just a destroyer.
I would agree with you on that. He's been the best player in that position alongside one other.
Oh.
Well, I would say Kante in that position as well has been pretty flawless.
Yeah, I will take off the proverbial top hat there. Yes.
But imagine those two in your team. You would never have any problems in the number 6 position, would you?
Well, to be fair, you could probably play one defender, couldn't you? And about 17 attackers on that basis. Yeah. But no, quality player.
But for different reasons than the other Inhos so far have gone, not as flamboyant.
No, and I think our next guy actually, and maybe I think that group that we've picked there so far feels like real quality in different sorts of areas, but real quality. I wonder if the next two are maybe a step down, and have maybe got into Inho's club because I don't know. Am I being harsh? We needed to fill the room tonight.
Yeah, so everyone else paid for their ticket, and these are the ones you're just like, just come in, you have a free ticket.
Yeah, come in. Yeah. So Fabinho, I think, is almost. I think he's a very good player, but am I harsh saying Fernandinho light?
I was going to say he's like, yeah. Put it this way, I think if you pulled 100 Premier League fans and asked them which of those Inhos you'd have in that position,
and didn't carry out the survey in Merseyside,
I think even if most Liverpool fans really looked hard and properly came up with a decision, they'd pick Fernandinho over Fabinho in that position. Yeah. I think even with the most hardcore Liverpool fan would look at that and go, he's a good player, but he's better than him.
No, I think that's fair, but worth a name check. Hopefully, we've rekindled there some memories of some great Inhos over the last 30 years, I guess. And much as we have little Ron at the top of our tree of Inhos, there are
at the top of the tree.
Right at the top of the tree, there are some angels that are hanging around it that we enjoyed watching.
A couple of Inho baubles hanging below.
Oh, Inho baubles! See what you've done there. We'll have to save that one for Christmas. We hope, as always, you've enjoyed listening. Please do, as always, subscribe, share, and review, because that does really help. As you've said on many occasions, Jimbo.
We have, and now we're live on videos. Yes. On the YouTube.
If this one is on video, obviously.
You can leave a comment below.
Yeah, but make it
that
nice.
Means people can leave. I mean, don't like
press the subscribe button. Press the subscribe button.
Yeah. What's that thing people do? Ring the bell. Ding the bell. Ding. I don't know what's going on.
You can ring my bell.
If that doesn't get a subscribe, I don't know what will. But if anyone can think of another Inho, if we've missed any,
oh yeah,
put down below. And also, if anybody knows the answer, because I think sometimes it's nice to just not know and other people tell you what the answer is to a certain thing, rather than like just Google everything yourself.
Yeah, bonsoir.
It would be nice to know when this Inho thing became quite popular. If you're saying there wasn't too many Inhos prior to this...
Well, I couldn't remember many, but
no,
I'm not the authority.
I wonder if maybe there was a period where suddenly it became popular, then there was a footballer, like, was it Juninho? Was it part of like the Juninho era? Did that do it? I don't know. So if someone knows the answer to that, I want to know the answer to that as well.
I love it. Thanks, Jimbo. Enjoyed your time.
Likewise.
Let's go watch Fight Club.
We do need to watch Fight Club. And the entire time it's on, I'm going to be staring at you with that face of like, now do you get it?
Obviously, you'll need to, work to be as ripped as I am, obviously.
Of course. I didn't think we were going to be watching it shirtless, James.